Hi, this is Dave Emmons on the Dave Emmons Show, and my guest today is Tom Althouse. We've been talking about a lot of interesting things, and the chemistry here is flowing back and forth. Some of my experiences, and I know Tom has a lot more experiences with dealing with these dark groups or whatever. But you're listening to WODY Radio also, and that's OdysseyRadio.live, and this is will be played on social media, whatever social media will accept it. I hope, Tom, that we're not kicked off everything that goes on, but this is a good show. Tom's been he's been fabulous. I've had him a couple of other times, but this is the first time I had him on video, and I've seen the documents, and now you're seeing the documents in person. So Tom Althouse, my guest. We got one more segment to go. Let's tear it up, buddy. Show you write some music, okay? We just talked about you writing music.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that actually becomes very important evidence in the whole debate about, was this done? Did he write the Matrix? Well, yeah, we have the copyright that precedes the Matrix. It was used on set. We got people coming forward from the project themselves, from Matrix, even the set of Matrix, saying, yes, we see your script. It was on set. It's common knowledge it was used. And they made up as they went along. The Wachowskis don't understand it. And that's why they were mocking, even on set, mocking the work. But in that is the music that went in. So the music was submitted. And James Boyd makes it very clear in his testimony, which Tony Rankin didn't want known, is that he submitted the music. He says in here, envelope bearing package was included, that the music went in, and so he submitted the music to Warner Brothers, and then again, there's the no doubt about it, and that's after Tony Rankin, who was classmates with the lead attorney for Warner Brothers, threw the case. Made sure that we ran the clock out on statute of limitations, then tried to blame us, and claimed he contacted James Boyd, the attorney who submitted, and said that James Boyd had nothing. Well, obviously James Boyd had a lot, including the submission letter, again, which says it includes the music, and the tracking number and receipt can't be denied to 4000 Warner Brothers Lane, June 25th, 1993.
Wow.
That's why the Wachowskis claim that they wrote it sometime around 93. Sure you did. They kept changing their testimony about that to try to precede marriage, which was in October 93.
I want to remind the audience that Tom Althouse is a playwright, screenwriter, and he's I guess he's a musician, and he writes music.
I got awards for my work. I've got a number of stuff. Like you had a gentleman coming forward one time and said I had nothing. Yeah, I did. I did a number of tours, things like that. Yeah, my work's out there. And this music, though, what's really interesting about that is, remember how George Michael was claimed to have died, that his heart gave out?
Right.
Well, George Michael was one of the biggest witnesses, and a great man, really nice man. George Michael, the reason he was killed is because of this. If we go to the last page of the copyrighted screenplay, look at the last page. This is why he was murdered by the Cabal. George Michael was murdered by the Cabal. Because at that very time, Warner Brothers attorneys and Warner Brothers and Disney were trying to say that, and through Tony Rankin, who's supposed to be my attorney, right, sure, was saying that we'll never find any scripts preceding 96 when the Wachowskis first used the title Matrix. But guess what? In 1993, George Michael is listed as the end credits, praying for time. Why is that important? Because George Michael had to see the full script, all 128 pages, all preceding the Matrix, before it went in. He had to okay it. We would not submit George Michael for end credits unless George Michael, the artist, had seen the work, approved it, and said, submit my music. See? And so they killed him because they didn't want any witnesses. It became their strategy to say there's no witnesses that any scripts were done in 1993. See what's going on here?
Yeah, there's quite a few Hollywood people that just die mysteriously. Robin Williams. I mean, I don't know how many others. I can't remember all the names of people, but there's always mysteries around Hollywood people.
George Michael was murdered. He was murdered because of the Matrix story and the Immortals. He was murdered so there'd be no proof. Why? Because it's worth $1.2 billion, going on more now that Matrix 4 came out so badly. But it's even worth so much more. And so that's what they're concerned about. Too many people's lives could be disrupted. Granted, all thieves, all the people that were on set, basically pretty much for the Matrix franchise, were getting $1 million payoffs through Keanu Reeves filtering money through. and they claimed it was the greatest act of charity. These are union wage people getting $1 million, made millionaires overnight. They're well employed shooting a film which pays lucratively. And so that's not charity. That's payoffs and laundering money through. And what you have also is they were given golden envelopes at dinners in Venice Beach by the Wachowskis. And the quote was from one of them said, "I'm not going to tell you how much it was," he said, "but I'll tell you it was more than we could ever imagine." So the payoffs continued. Money.
Right.
Of the, when it was common knowledge the stuff was stolen.
And the politicians, both sides, Republicans and Democrats,
Both sides
are corrupt. A lot of them are. Can't say all of them, but a good part of them probably are. They want to belong to that elite, and they're afraid to make a mistake because they might think the cabal or their elite will drop them and say, "Well, you're going to go down to the poverty level areas here." But what do you think about the election 2020?
I have to watch myself here because I'll tell you what, politicians are cast like actors. They really are actors. Like I was dealing with Senator Warner, who actually I have a plaque from, an award plaque from, or something where he framed it in a very nice card.
Right.
Senator Warner. And what's interesting is he was looking at me to be his aide. I was recruited. I was looked at everybody, bloodlines, things like that. What's interesting is they all act like they're actors. They all act like they're on set and they've been cast in a show. And they really aren't concerned about what's going on. By and large, almost all of them. You have to be approved by the Actors Guild of Politicians, let's say, in order to get in. You have to be cast in the show by the directors of the elections and our government. You can't just make it. Electoral College decides who gets in there, and that's uncles and aunts of all these different elites.
Right.
So really, its system's rigged from the start with the elite. The elite own the Electoral College.
Well, even Donald Trump said that when before in 2016, he said, "I've been on the side that does this corruption, the billionaires and the rich people." Yeah, you don't want to be on that side, he said. He said, "I don't want to be there no more. That's why I'm here," he said. That's why they didn't like him. He was bucking the system.
Well, he could only go as far as he could go, or he and his family would be killed. That's how they did it. I mean, remember the picture I held up with my boys and my dad?
Right.
So what happens is, if you go in, you better go the whole way. But I'm told by Trump contacts now, and it's being orchestrated right now, that it's going to see a difference. My mom's supposed to have dinner with Trump. That sounds like a B novel. No, actually, it's true.
Really?
He knows, he's well aware of our situation. And a lot of people work like this. Should you succeed, we will be coming to you and we'll celebrate with you, basically. See, they're not going to take a chance until you succeed. Basically, it's like World War II, Germany, America, England. A joke of England that England comedians will say sometimes is that the Americans showed up when it was like, "Where were you guys? Where were you guys?" Yeah. We're like throwing spoons at the enemy. And it's like, and biscuits. But the thing is, that's kind of how it is for Trump in my situation is he's going to come up and reveal himself and make it public once we succeed. And he'll be like, you did great. You held in there. And word has already been sent, well done kind of thing through his constituency.
So you think he'll win in 24?
The thing is I hate to say this, but as far as the election, it doesn't mean anything when it comes down to it. The Democrats and the Republicans are all in the same elite club, and it's all a show. And so what Trump can do is he can have that presence and status of being a president, but he still can't do anything really until something monumental happens, such as our victory in the courts or documentary comes out and sways the world. Hollywood continuously, to make this point home, it's not about Tom, but this is what's going on with the work that was inspired, but it came true. Hollywood elements are actually wanting me to run for president. This author. They said they would put up billboards in Hollywood and that I would run for president. That's not ego stroking. That's their plan to ride the winning team. We talked about, what they do and how they select.
How long ago was that, Tom?
That was in 2016. They told me that.
Oh. And what party were you going to run with?
Republican. I'm supposed to be Republican.
Oh, okay.
If we succeeded. But then you're dealing with a cabal like this. The factions work like this. One faction tries to stab you while another one's trying to court you. Another one stabs you, and it's like if they can get you rattled or in disarray, like they murdered my son after that. With Hollywood elements, certain Hollywood studios putting in warnings or threats that Sean would be killed. And I can show you a graphic from that. Universal Studios was the one that worked with Robertson. Universal Studios and Disney was the ones that worked with Robertson.
Mm-hmm.
So you've seen sellouts of certain studios back to Disney. And Warner Brothers was actually going to sell out to Disney. There was deals being made where they would get their hands clean by blaming Disney and selling out and cutting loose for their profits. See that?
Right.
There's been a big shakeup. In fact, Sophia Stewart, the plant, was the one that said, you caused the biggest shakeup in Hollywood when I came forward. Both Mike Lang of Disney, who's the main Harvey Weinstein's boss, and Joel Silver of Warner Brothers both fled at the same time in 2012, April and March, respectively, to flee. Now, if I showed you this one graphic, if you want to share screen, I want to show you something where they're saying Sean's going to die. Can I show you real quick? My son, Sean.
Sure.
I'm going back to share screen. Tell me when you can see it. You see my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay, now watch. I want to take you where it's about Sean. First of all, here's the first one from Spielberg. Now, Spielberg's involved with my brother intensely. And we're just going to go through this very quickly. Pre-crime, 2002, Minority Report. Captain John Enderton, my dad's name, rank in the Navy. Enderton, Scottish clan name with a T thrown in. Pre-crime, Tom Cruise plays the character of my dad's name and rank, and last name, Scottish clan name. And his son, Sean, has been murdered. Therefore, the pre-crime is he's going to commit murder. It's already determined because his son Sean has died. Well, my son Sean is killed after Spielberg releases this, right? And so that's how that is. Let's go to the next one. Saving Private Ryan. Saving Private Ryan, the two fictitious characters used in Saving Private Ryan.
Right.
Sean is killed and Daniel's killed. My two sons are Sean Michael and Kirk Daniel. Next, let's go further. The Good Place. Oh, where's the Good Place? Here it is, right here. Here we go. Come on up. Okay, here we go. Here's The Good Place. We have an architect. This is Universal Studios. So Universal Studios has this man right here, mild-mannered looking man named Michael. His boss is Sean. My son's name is Sean Michael. Sean Michael. This is an architect who has a silver pen he holds up right there. He holds that up specifically. And where the train station goes in and out is the only way in and out. That's my work. The train station is the only way in and out. So Sean Michael is talking to the main character. And what's the main character say? Let's just stick Sean aside here, or Michael aside. And let's go right to what she says. Aha! She says her birthday's October 14th. At first she says 1986. Now this is how they get away with this. They try to do a graphic that you can't pin it on one freeze. Now watch what she says next. That's what I used to tell people when I lied about my age. Now here it comes. I was born in 1982. Let's line it up.
These actors don't have a clue what's going on, really, right?
Unless they're let in. If they're let in on it. Yeah, Keanu Reeves knew, but I don't know if this lady did. There it is right there. Okay, now look at this. Look at Dave. October 14th, 1982. Now they're trying, trolls will say October 14th can mean anything. I know it. You can, it takes 2 minutes to look it up. Yeah, well, October 14th, 1982 is Shawn Michaels' exact birthday. The character's Michael. His evil boss is Sean. October 14th, 1982. There is no way in heaven and earth to get around this graphic. It deals with my son. And I'm told by insiders it deals with my son. The game is over. It's all up. There's no going back. We've got them.
Right.
Back to you. I mean,
wow.
Anybody would even dare to try. And what I want people to start realizing is as trolls speak, please feel free to laugh at them immensely with long time. Take your time laughing at these idiots. They are idiots. Because on 1982 is my son's birthday. Shawn Michael was his name. And you see it repeated with Spielberg over and over. There's no doubt about it. The bosses of some of these trolls, some are freelance, but some of these trolls, their bosses are saying, Tom, you won the chess game, while they droll on. So Dave, what we're doing is we're getting a Hall of Shame together, 10 minutes with trolls, Hall of Shame, and we're going to be listing the trolls that dared to speak, researching who they are behind false names, and displaying them to the public. The biggest idiots of our age or in history are the trolls that speak. So go ahead and speak. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Real fact checking, right? Real fact checking.
Real
but
fast. Thank you very
yeah.
much.
Now, have you met Trump?
Not yet. No, I've not met Trump yet. He's
But
not
your mom
supposed to see me
meeting
until
him.
this is done. He's not even
Oh,
supposed to breathe a word till this is done. Because what you have is here, there's a smart system in play, Dave. You've got different people that can possibly make inroads. And we're supposed to be different places on the field. And then we come together in the end. See?
Hmm.
Otherwise, it's like massing all your planes at Pearl Harbor. You don't want to put all your stuff together on the middle of the field.
do you have a good idea, since you foresaw all this happening, the reset, where we're at now and how long and where are we headed?
We are on page, I'll give you the exact page. Out of 128, here, I'll give you the page. 1 second. Where is it? 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 I think it's 111. Let me just go to it here real quick. Bear with me a second.
Okay. It's worth knowing because
I
you
want to
saw
get
this.
I want to get it
saw
right. Here we are. Here we are. We are on
future.
page 93. Why are we on page 93? Because that's when the food shortages happen.
Right. Yeah.
Shortages for the state. We're on page 93 of 128. But what happens is in the screenplay, it goes very, very quickly from this point out, describing the Armageddon and everything else. The final solution, let the harvest begin, that kind of thing. That's where we're at. It cooks now. It moves fast. That's why people need to wake up, get involved. And a lot of questions that you'll hear people asking, how can we help? And they're not giving any answers. You can help by contacting people and make sure stadiums are stocked, but let people know, don't go to the stadiums. When they say go to the stadiums, you're not going to be helped, just like it wasn't in New Orleans. You're not going to be helped. You're going to starve your children. You're in death, and you'll take your children away because that's supposed to take the children that are desirable and re-put them into other families. This is not fast fiction.
Yeah, it all mixes together here with the fake news. You have certain stations that are really fake. You have some of the conservative stations. Some of them are a little bit, they're slanted, sure, but the liberal stations are actually more slanted, like CNN, MSNBC. I mean,
CNN is owned by Warner Brothers. CNN is owned by Warner Brothers. ABC is owned by Disney.
Oh,
look at their assets. They're owned by them. Troll may try to take us on, but look at the asset list.
Right. They're trying to create a civil war.
They want civil unrest. They do. They want it. And you know how they approached me, Dave? They approached me laughing about this stuff. It's like, even the Twin Towers things, when I was approached by Lauren Holmberg and the Masons, he's laughing about it, how the public doesn't get what's really going on. The public's so stupid. They laugh. They want me to laugh. They want me to laugh. I lost my 2 sons standing up for people, the public. I'm getting tired of being mocked by certain elements of the public. I mean, like this guy that approached you. I would like to, obviously, the evidence, do I show the evidence? Is it there? Is it irrefutable? It's right here. I'm not doing this for, and if I was doing this for fame or fortune or money, Dave, I spent 3 decades for nothing.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been worth it. But I'm still talking because it's about in the memory of my sons. Trust that it's in the memory of my sons. That's why I'm finishing the work.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt you're a talented person, and they're wanting you as a reserve. Yes,
that's an asset.
Yeah. So what's going to happen with all the assets after the reset?
The assets are on a list, and so they know where you live. They keep track of it. They don't care about the general public. That's a general wash away. And here's the deal. I want to impress it upon the public. You're only, if worst comes to worst and this reset happens, you're only going to be saved, you and your family, if you are interesting. If you make comments on the air and just make loose comments just to be popular or get effect, you're not interesting to the other side. You're
Right.
run of the mill. If you stand up with critical thinking and get what we're saying and say, look, I see this, I get the evidence, then you're on the good list. You're on the list of like, these people are smart, because not many people have the courage to do that, right, Dave? Not many. So if you want to matter, it's about mattering. Even my sister said that. She says, if you don't do this, Tom, if you don't say what I'm telling you to say, then you're saying I don't matter. You know why she said that phrase exactly? Because if you don't matter to the elite, you're off the list.
Yes. How about this thing with Putin and Ukraine and Zelensky? And
that's
being a Nazi, and that's why Putin attacked. Is that a setup?
Yeah. Let me show you why Ukraine was in a disarray. I'm going to share screen again. I want to show you the exact man responsible for throwing it and setting it up. Here's why Ukraine was in disarray. The one that handles my sister. Here's the article, cover article. This is the cover article in our local newspaper because I was starting to reveal them. So they did a cover article.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Fitzpatrick, who my sister jokes about being gay, single, doesn't marry because he's part of the sex ring with Robertson, loves Robertson. He's sent to Ukraine. He's FBI, lifelong FBI operative, Dave. Why is he sent to the Ukraine? What is the FBI doing off of our soil going to foreign soil?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because there was a general consensus that Shokin, who's the attorney general or prosecutor general, attorney general equivalent of Ukraine, that's how their society has stability. Well, before your war, they send Fitzpatrick to disrupt it. It says here, there was a general consensus, that's it, blame it on everybody, that Shokin wasn't moving on the cases that existed. He wasn't pushing for reforms. So that's why you destroyed his life, huh? Donald Baxter is Trudeau from Canada's guy, international anti-corruption expert. Anti-corruption expert? Who worked with Fitzpatrick in Kyiv as a Canadian government employee. Said it was not a controversial position. Really? So he's a congressman. He's also, lifelong FBI. And here's Fitzpatrick saying that he's part of, his main responsibilities were to help establish Ukraine's National Anti-Corruption Bureau also, NABU. Fitzpatrick's office confirmed in an email, adding he trained Ukrainian investigators and prosecutors in best practices. You know what else? You know what else is really interesting, Dave?
What's that?
That Robertson formed the Law and Justice Center that put the judge, Gary Klausner, through our case in place also with his Law and Justice Center, which was also to train prosecutors overseas. So the FBI is training prosecutors overseas to get their way, to push for reforms they want. That means get rid of people they want. And also Robertson's doing that with Law and Justice Center in all these different places overseas. See the connection?
Yes,
FBI, Robertson in bed completely. In fact, when I was being groomed by the FBI, I was being groomed by Robertson. I have a card given to me by heads of FBI. I'm not making this up. You're using it in a documentary. A card that says, please extend every courtesy to Tom Althouse, given to me over dinner by FBI heads and John Walsh of America's Most Wanted.
Yeah.
I'm being groomed by Robertson. That's how big this gets. That's why I'm a big player in the elite's interest that they want on their side. Now listen, Fitzpatrick's time in Kyiv is now of renewed interest as it coincides with efforts to oust Ukrainian officials at the heart of the freshly launched impeachment trial of Trump. And what happens over here? Ukrainian officials were warned that they would not receive $1 billion in loan guarantees unless Shokin was removed, a man of honor who was keeping Ukraine safe from outside influences such as a gay U.S. congressman in ways of committee and all the other stuff. Look at this guy. And also who's an FBI lifelong operative who has my sister in bed with him and promised her all kinds of rewards, black tie dinners, trips to Caribbean, London, everything. She gets it all. A non-licensed elementary school counselor to this guy. Here's the face of the cabal.
Pee Wee Herman.
Pee Wee Herman, yes. And this, I want to do right now for your audience what he sounds like. Are you ready for this? And tell me he's not part of Robertson's group. Sex ring.
Okay.
Ready for this? This is what he sounds like when he sends out his tape messages to people in their homes. And this is what my mom had playing in her home all the time on her voice machine. Ready? Here it goes.
Okay.
Hi, this is Brian Fitzpatrick. I want to invite you to my town hall meeting tonight. And if you'd like to tune in, you can hear me talking about issues in our world. That's what he sounds like.
Really?
Voice. Yes, that's his voice. And what is Matt, his famous boy, who's the guy who spoke to me at his offices, his Congress office? Matt sounds like this. Hi, this is Matt. Can I help you? I thought it was Brian Fitzpatrick. Same voice, same everything. It's a gay sex ring.
Wow.
And they get all these positions, and he's the guy. If you want to know about Ukrainian officials dying or children dying, people dying in a war with Russia, here's Pee Wee Herman, lifelong FBI operative, also congressman who shouldn't be a Pennsylvania congressman, who's not married because he's gay, who has been, I'm not making this up, not making this like a B movie, who has been instituted to destroy Ukrainian structure.
What about Joe Biden and Hunter Biden? What happened there?
Well, that's what he's supposed to do. In that article, you see that Brian Fitzpatrick, gay Brian Fitzpatrick, is supposed to be protecting Biden.
I see.
Trump, because he was revealing Biden. It's in the article.
All right. And then Putin, why did he wage war? I heard that he said that they were Nazis, that the Ukrainians were Nazis.
The
Where did that
FBI
come from?
infiltrating had control of Ukraine. Think what follows. Once the FBI goes over there and destroys and disrupts your governing body, right?
Right.
FBI. What was that man? What was Brian Fitzpatrick's job besides rewarding my sister outlandishly, where she became a monster, and tried to put her brother away for good to please him and Hollywood? When he said,
Right.
Brian Fitzpatrick hates your guts, he's pissed at you, Secret Service is going to get you, whatever. That's what she said. Well, if you disrupt the Ukrainian government, those that actually do good, wasn't pushing fast enough for reforms, that's the excuse. So you get rid of him, the FBI is going to have their way. So when Putin says the Ukraine has become Nazis, well, the FBI was formed from World War II, and we employed Nazis to help. So he's
Right.
not far off base.
Operation.
Actually, Putin's speaking the truth. He's dealing with Nazis. The United States, I give you the United States, FBI, and CIA.
Wow. It's worldwide. New world order.
Infiltrated worldwide.
Yeah. It's now we got the debacle in Afghanistan. We've got terrorism that's wide open now.
All
we
business.
Yeah.
All policy.
Yeah. It's
they don't
so
want it. Our servicemen sacrificing their lives, our servicemen and women, they don't want it to end. Robertson's plan, when I was being groomed to face the Christian Coalition back in 1988 when he was running for president, he told me this even then. He wants an endless war. What did Bush do? Bush met with Robertson behind closed doors before the war started, and he wanted an endless war to spend rights so he could be a dictator. Robertson ruled through former President Bush through proxy. Since he lost his campaign and his bid for presidency, he ruled through proxy. That's what he did.
So all of us people that are on the low part of the ladder, we're just going to be either
Eliminated
or
incinerated, or put into mass graves.
And how long you think this is going to be?
I'm going to do everything I can to slow them up and stop them. They didn't expect anybody groomed from the inside to speak up for the people. And they didn't expect, and that's what they're taunting me with now. That's why I got the calls from the guy connected with Sony saying, you better stop right now what you're doing. If you continue to go, he even said they didn't care about you doing lower echelon interviews. If you do any higher ones, then they're going to take notice, and you and your son will die.
So this is a higher echelon interview.
I would consider you with integrity, higher echelon. But the thing is, I'm now doing other things that have higher followings. Right. They consider that. They consider numbers the game. Numbers the game. So yeah, I'm doing higher numbers. Plus the documentary's coming out, right? That's shorthand for saying stop the documentary.
Wow. Okay, we're at the end of the show here. We're just got the seconds to go. And this has been interesting, really interesting. And I hope people get a chance to hear and see this. Tom Althouse, thank you so much for being here. And you're listening to WODY Radio, Odyssey Radio Live. And this is the Dave Emmons Show. We're syndicated through WODY, my buddy Eddie Carson's. And we hope you enjoyed the show. And maybe we'll be back and do this again, Tom.
I'm there with you. I'll do it. I'll be there again with you. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for sticking around. And we hope that you can gain something from this show. Thank you so much.